Hi, I'm Melanie Guralnick, and this is People Magazine. I'll be reading from People.com. The first story is Zach Bryan calls out an unhappy Karen after delaying and shortening concert due to lightning, by Desiree Anello. Zach Bryan didn't hesitate to clap back at a Karen after his Nebraska concert was cut short due to weather. On Sunday, April 26, the country singer, 30, was forced to delay and shorten his With Heaven on Tour show at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln due to less than ideal weather conditions. "I'm sorry for cutting the set short tonight," Bryan wrote on X alongside a photo of his set list typed into a text message. "Lightning came in fast. We only missed the last 6. I love you guys. The rain was a blast." Moments later, the I Remember Everything singer shared another photo of a huge lightning strike crossing the sky above the concert venue, with the crowds and stage illuminated underneath. "There were fucking lightning bolts," he captioned the post, "above our heads." While many fans acknowledged that the shortened set was not in Bryan's control, one social media user expressed their disappointment in how the Grammy Award winner handled the situation. "What a scum response to a fan who probably waited all night to see you and the opening artists," they wrote on X. "I paid over $1,000 to see this show and waited in my car for over 4 hours. Minimal communication by the stadium and Zach Bryan himself. Ridiculous." In response, Bryan simply brushed off the comment by quipping, "Karen, tweet." Before the concert was scheduled to begin, the musician shared frequent updates on social media regarding the impending thunderstorms that ultimately delayed the show. "Tour in the spring," they said. "It'll be fun," he wrote. "Thank you to the Husker faculty and fans for being patient and working their butts off to make sure the show still happens. We'll make it worth it. Oh, you guys so big." Bryan later went on to clarify that the show's delays were not due to his reluctance to perform in the rain, but rather for the safety of everyone involved. "To be clear, we've never been scared of rain in our life," he wrote. "We just gotta avoid the lightning for the safety of everyone." Earlier this month, Bryan was forced to cancel his headlining show in Tulsa, Oklahoma, for the first time ever due to severe weather. "I pissed off plenty of people this morning trying to play anyways," he wrote in an Instagram caption at the time. "If I had any say in this, things would be different. I apologize, and I love all ya. I've never canceled a show in my life, but I unfortunately don't have a choice in the matter," he added. "We apologize for any inconvenience and appreciate your understanding." There is a picture of what Zach Bryan posted to X. It is a scene from the concert. It's at night and it's in a stadium. The whole place is full. You can see the stage is kind of far away. There's spotlights on it. The people are really tiny. And then there's a big screen above so you can actually see them as they perform. And then right above that is an almost horizontal lightning bolt that's white. It's really kind of amazing. Photo courtesy of Zach Bryan. That story was Zach Bryan calls out an unhappy Karen after delaying and shortening concert due to lightning, by Desiree Anello. The next story is Shannon Elizabeth earned more than 7 figures in her first week on OnlyFans, by Jack Smart and Luke Chinman. Shannon Elizabeth is thriving in her new chapter. Following the American Pie star's recent foray into posting content on OnlyFans, a source tells People that the actress brought in more than 7 figures on the platform in her first week. Elizabeth, 52, is really making a name for herself on OnlyFans, continues the insider, noting that the content she's posted does not feature full nudity. She is super happy she now gets to take control and be engaged with her fans, the source adds. People previously learned that on April 16, the day her OnlyFans account officially launched, Elizabeth also quietly filed for divorce from Simon Borchert, her husband since 2021. Now that she is single, she wants to have a bit more freedom and be wild, a source said at the time, calling the split rather fresh. The description for Elizabeth's account on the platform reads, quote, "Here you'll find the side of me that doesn't make it into movies. More playful, spontaneous, and completely unscripted." She added, "If you've ever been curious what I'm really like, you're about to find out. I've spent my entire career working in Hollywood, where other people controlled the narrative and the outcome of my career." Elizabeth told People of her OnlyFans endeavor, calling the platform the future. "This next chapter is about changing that, showing off a more sexy side no one has seen, and being closer to my fans," she added. In addition to 1999's American Pie, Elizabeth starred in popular early 2000s titles, including Scary Movie in 2000, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back in 2001, 13 Ghosts in 2001, and Love Actually 2003. She has the movie First Witch among her upcoming screen projects. There is a still picture of Shannon Elizabeth from the movie American Pie. I remember her in this movie. She was the really, really gorgeous kid that they tried to get her to undress on a webcam, and she had the most perfect body ever. And so in this picture, she's just standing in front of some school lockers, and she's got her backpack slung over her shoulder. She's got long brown hair and brown eyes. She's really gorgeous. And then next to that picture is a picture of her today, and she still has really long, beautiful brown hair, brown eyes. For her age, she's just super gorgeous. And she's just wearing a sweater standing in front of a plain blue background. Photo courtesy of Universal Pictures, courtesy Everett. That was the one from American Pie. And then the modern one is courtesy of Christopher Polk via Variety via Getty. That story was Shannon Elizabeth earned more than 7 figures in her first week on OnlyFans, by Jack Smart and Luke Chinman. The next story is Bruce Springsteen offers prayers of thanks no one was heard at White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting, by Daniela Avila. Bruce Springsteen offered a prayer for President Donald Trump after the White House Correspondents' Association dinner shooting on Saturday, April 25th. During the E Street Band's concert in Austin, Texas, the following day, the Dancing in the Dark singer spoke out against political violence. "We begin tonight with a prayer for our men and women in service overseas. We pray for their safe return," Springsteen, 76, said, according to fan-recorded videos on social media. "We also send out a prayer of thanks that our president, nor anyone in the administration, nor anyone attending, was injured at last night's incident at the White House Press Correspondents' Dinner." He continued, "We can disagree. We can be critical of those in power, and we can peacefully fight for our beliefs. But there is no place in any way, shape, or form for political violence of any kind in our beloved United States." At the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt were rushed out by Secret Service agents after an armed man, identified as Cole Thomas Allen, 31, of Torrance, California, opened fire. He was arraigned on Monday, April 27, and charged with attempting to assassinate the President of the United States, as well as 2 federal gun charges, according to the New York Times and NBC News. Allen did not enter a plea at his arraignment. The following day, Trump was asked how he felt amid the commotion of gunshots and attendees taking cover under tables. "I wasn't worried. I understand life. We live in a crazy world," Trump, 79, said. You can really enhance your chances of having a perfect situation, but sometimes things will happen. The shooting incident marked the possible third attempt on Trump's life. In July 2024, he was shot in the ear at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. That September, a man was found hiding in the bushes with a gun at his Florida golf course. Springsteen's prayer for Trump comes after years of publicly sparring with the president. Most recently, Trump referred to Springsteen as a dried-up prune, following the rocker's criticism of ICE and ongoing comments he's made from the stage while on his Land of Hope and Dreams American tour. In March, Springsteen addressed his fans in Minneapolis and said America is, quote, currently in the hands of a corrupt, incompetent, racist, reckless, and treasonous administration. Springsteen had endorsed Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election and called Trump the most dangerous candidate for president in my lifetime. He doesn't understand the meaning of this country, its history, or what it means to be deeply American, Springsteen said at the time. There is a picture of Bruce Springsteen taken in London in October of last year. The background is just out of focus. I think there's a lot of people behind him. He's wearing a blue jacket over a black shirt. He's got gray hair, brown eyes, and he's smiling. It looks like he has gold earrings too, even. And for the record, he does not look like a dried up old prune. Photo credit goes to Gareth Cattermole via Getty. There is also a picture of Donald Trump taken at the Correspondents' Dinner. He is in a black tuxedo that is a black jacket that has a shiny satin lapel and a black bow tie. He has gray hair that's kind of parted on the side and it falls a little forward on his forehead. And he has a very stern look. There are some people behind him and also dark blue curtains. Photo courtesy of Kevin Mazur via Getty. That story was Bruce Springsteen offers prayer of thanks that no one was hurt at White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting by Daniel Avila. The next story is Lizzo wants to reclaim the term bitch as a declaration of confidence and unapologetic self-love with new album by Jack Irvin. A new Lizzo album is finally on its way. The Grammy-winning singer and rapper announced her upcoming album, Bitch, on Monday, April 27, her 38th birthday, and explained in a statement how she hopes to reclaim the often offensive term through the project. Quote, reclaiming the word bitch is power, began Lizzo. It's taking a label once used to diminish women and turning it into a declaration of confidence and unapologetic self-love. The Yitty CEO previously referred to herself as 100% that bitch on her hit single Truth Hurts. But she's not the only artist who's flipped the term. So many incredible women in music have used the word for positivity, like Meredith Brooks and Missy Elliott, added Lizzo, referencing Brooks's hit Bitch and Elliott's She's a Bitch. It was only fitting to name my album Bitch because it has become my favorite word when using it on my own terms, continued Lizzo's statement, and because I am 100% that bitch. She also shared the album cover, a photo of a hand holding up Lizzo's body in place of a middle finger, on Instagram, and she wrote, "Happy birthday to me! To celebrate, I present you my new album, Bitch, coming June 5th. The Good as Hell musician will release the album's title track, which interpolates Brooks's Bitch on Friday, May 1. She previously debuted the song live at WeHo Pride in June 2025. Lizzo released the first single of the Bitch era, called Don't Make Me Love You, last month alongside a music video. Bitch will mark the star's first new project since last year's My Face Hurts from Smiling mixtape, which featured collaborations with SZA, Doja Cat, Lil Jon, and Tierra Whack. Lizzo previously announced that her next studio album would be called Love in Real Life, and she released 2 songs from the unreleased project, its title track and Still Bad. She performed both tracks on Saturday Night Live last year, along with Don't Make Me Love You. Beyond music, Lizzo is gearing up to release her first children's book, called Little Lizzo Meets Sasha B. Flutin, in September. She's also set to play Sister Rosetta Tharpe in an upcoming Amazon MGM biopic about the gospel icon. There is a great picture of Lizzo's Bitch album cover, and so it's just her hand. You see it from the wrist up, where she's doing a middle finger. She's got these really long fake nails, and the middle finger is a full-length image of her standing wearing a black gown, and her 2 arms are straight up in the air, and she's laughing. This is hysterical. The background is just like a gray, just very plain, but this really has a big, powerful effect. Photo credit goes to Atlantic Records and Nice Life Recording Company. There is also an undated picture of Lizzo, and she's got like almost a Marilyn Monroe type hairstyle. It's the same kind of platinum look and the same haircut, and she's posing very sexy. Actually, her makeup is done a little like Marilyn. And she's got her arms crossed against her chest with her hands up near her shoulders. She's got those super long fake nails, and then she's wearing a black kind of dress, but the whole front of it is brown feather boa. Photo credit goes to Jason Renaud. That story was Lizzo wants to reclaim the term bitch as a declaration of confidence and unapologetic self-love with new album, by Jack Irvin. The next story is Winona Judd reveals the most rock star thing she's ever done, by Daniela Avila. Winona Judd is opening up about a unique experience at the White House. In a live taping from Bunny XO's Stripped Down, Unfiltered, and Unapologetic, which aired on her Dumb Blonde podcast on Sunday, April 26, Judd appeared as a guest for a wide-ranging interview. At one point, Bunny asked Judd to share the most rock star thing you've done that no one would expect from you. I lay down in one of the beds in the White House, Judd, 61, said. I've done everything. Seriously. I looked through the drawers, she added. Then Bunny asked Judd what she found inside the drawers at the White House. Nothing. Who wants to be there? Nobody, she said. Bunny then asked Judd to tell her something totally normal that you love that would surprise people. I waste time sitting still by the water and I do nothing, she said, later adding, it's therapy for me. I started, and this is not religion, it's a relationship. I started reading the Bible again because I want to get off TikTok, she said. I'm trying really hard to detach myself from social media. Elsewhere in the taping, Judd revealed her next album would drop this spring. I'm putting out music that is from my gut to yours, she said. The country singer's last album release with original music was 2016's Winona and the Big Noise. She also released an EP in 2020 called Recollections. In March, Judd performed a Tammy Wynette tribute at the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville. I met Tammy Wynette in 1984. She handed us our first award, the Horizon Award at the CMAs, and we quickly became family. She used to cook for me on her bus. So, Ms. Tammy Wynette, you're my queen, she said on the stage before performing Woman to Woman. There is a picture of Winona Judd taken in Frisco, Texas. It's May 2025. The background says Academy of Country Music Awards, and it's a red background with silver letters. And it's just like a from the rib cage up kind of picture. She has this amazing red hair. Like I've never seen hair this color before. It's like super rich red, very bright but rich. And she has like kind of a square face that's, got these great cheekbones. She's got like heavy eye makeup on that looks great. Her hair is um, long and wavy, and she's got heavy bangs, and her teeth are really white. And she's wearing kind of like a rock star looking black jacket that's got silver beading on the shoulders. Photo credit goes to Michael Buckner via Penske Media via Getty. That story was Winona Judd reveals the most rock star thing she's ever done by Daniela Avila. The next story is Why King Charles's U.S. state visit is the most high-stakes overseas trip of his reign by Simon Perry. When President Donald Trump praised King Charles as fantastic, calling him a brave and great man, and agreeing that his state visit this week could ease strained relations between the United States and the United Kingdom, it would have been a relief to many watching in the days leading up to this historic trip. For many observers, the next 4 days in the U.S. will be a huge test for American-Anglo relations, and for King Charles's role in representing his country while staying out of the controversies and politics of the time. Since President Trump was hosted at Windsor Castle with First Lady Melania Trump in September, the world seems to have shifted dramatically. The U.S. President has taken issue with the UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer over everything from solidarity with America over Iran to immigration, and regularly questions the future of the Atlantic Alliance. This is the most high-stakes overseas visit of King Charles's reign, as London and Washington are at odds over everything from the wars in Iran and Ukraine to tariffs and the future of NATO. Former BBC anchor Laura Trevelyan tells People. The trip will both be a test and a showcase of the King's considerable diplomatic skills and his reputation as a Trump whisperer. The visit of King Charles, 77, with Queen Camilla, 78, comes only days after a gunman stormed the White House Correspondents' Dinner that the president was attending. The royal couple was in touch with the president and First Lady following the shooting, and after talks throughout the weekend, it was decided that the 4-day visit would proceed as planned. The visit is tied to the 250th anniversary of U.S. independence from the United Kingdom, and a chance, the British ambassador Sir Christian Turner said, to, quote, recognize and celebrate that our partnership ranges well beyond the government of the day. It's about the cultural, historical, economic, people-to-people links that really bind our two countries together. Those connections, he said, are built on the foundations of friendship, shared history, shared sacrifice, and common values. But there is no doubt that the strained political relations have been dominating headlines and focus in the run-up to the state visit. Seasoned royal writer Robert Jobson, author of Windsor Legacy, says, quote, this is the most important summit for this so-called special relationship since George VI and President Roosevelt, when they shared hot dogs in 1939, and George wanted to rally the U.S. to help in the war. Today, we live in troubled times. Put simply, there's never been a time, and there's never been such instability on each side of the Atlantic, says Sally Bedell Smith, longtime chronicler of the Windsors and author of Royals Extra Substack. That is both in the presidency and this war we're engaged in, and at the same time, this uncertainty about the future of Britain's leadership. That said, Trump has said how much he admires the king, and that affection was on show when he and the First Lady visited with them at Windsor, and then in his interview with the BBC last week, when he called the monarch a brave man. King Charles is in a unique position of being above those politics in the UK, while also bringing with him decades of experience in tours and visits like this, and in promoting the best of his country. Palace insiders recognize the visit is taking place in challenging times, but it is also an opportunity to re-establish and cement the links and commonalities between the two countries in the year of the 250th birthday celebrations. You couldn't pick anyone better to do this job, says Jobson. Adds Elisa Anderson, a former press secretary for King Charles's late mother, Queen Elizabeth, quote, "He is our ambassador-in-chief. He has been doing this as Prince of Wales and now King for many, many years." King Charles is following in the footsteps of his late mother in being only the second ever British monarch to address a joint meeting of Congress. She made that speech in 1991 on one of her 4-state visits to the United States. He, quote, "can pay tribute to the two nations' historical ties, compliment America on its 250th birthday, and remind the world of how the two countries fought on the same side in 2 world wars." But how much can he say about the present? Trevelyan, who is host of the exchange on the Newsphere platform, adds, "That historical backdrop would, quote, remind President Trump and the world of the enduring ties between the two nations, and lower the temperature," Trevelyan observes. With his very presence in America, the king will seek to convey a reassuring sense of history and tradition which rises above this fraught political moment. Away from D.C., the king and queen hope to strengthen and broaden the links between the people of the U.S. and UK as they undertake engagements in New York and Virginia, focused on some of their key causes and cultural links between the countries. There is a picture of President Donald Trump with King Charles and Queen Camilla at Windsor Castle taken in September of 2025. They are standing kind of at attention. Trump is wearing a black suit. He's got his right hand raised up to his forehead like he's saluting. His wife, Melania, is next to him wearing a very big dark purple hat with a really big brim that kind of covers her face, and she's got her right hand over her heart. And then next to Trump is King Charles, who's in a blue suit. His hair is gray, it's kind of balding on top, and he's standing next to his wife, Queen Camilla, who's also wearing a royal blue suit and a very, very big blue hat that has a big brim. Photo courtesy of Andrew Caballero Reynolds via AFP via Getty. That story was Why King Charles's U.S. state visit is the most high-stakes overseas trip of his reign by Simon Perry. The next story is Madonna steps out in waist-cinching corset and bridal-inspired veil with boyfriend Akeem Morris by Skylar Caruso. Here comes the Queen of Pop. Madonna, 67, jazzed up an elaborate pink corset with a floor-length bridal veil for a night out in celebration of her forthcoming album, Confessions on a Dance Floor Part 2, alongside her 29-year-old boyfriend, Akeem Morris, on Saturday, April 25th. The Vogue singer's light pink button corset, which was adorned with floral appliques along the neckline, was paired with a miniskirt in a darker shade of pink, layered over fishnet stockings to match. The Material Girl hitmaker's accessories, however, were the real head-turners. Along with fingerless lace gloves in a floral pattern design, she threw on her signature tinted shades and a floor-sweeping blush pink bridal veil. Madonna paired the look with thigh-high black boots, a striking contrast to her otherwise soft-hued ensemble. Madonna's glam was disguised behind her sunglasses for the evening affair, while her blonde locks were styled into soft curls. The star-studded event, which attracted A-listers including Lily Allen and Bebe Rexha, was a launch party for Madonna's forthcoming album, Confessions 2, the sequel to her 2005 smash hit, Confessions on a Dance Floor. Morris was by the, quote, like a virgin singer side too. Madonna and the Jamaican-born soccer player were first linked in 2022, when he was featured in her Paper magazine cover shoot. They have stepped out together several times since. In March 2026, Morris joined Madonna on her Italian getaway to Venice. The pop icon offered an inside look at her European trip in an Instagram post, including a cozy boat ride together through the city's famous canals with Aperol spritzes in hand. Madonna has been leveling up the excitement as the July 3rd release of Confessions 2 approaches. Before announcing the release date on April 15, she had only teased the album and revealed that she's working with her old collaborator, Stuart Price. On April 17, Madonna made a surprise appearance at Coachella with headliner Sabrina Carpenter during Carpenter's Friday night set for Weekend 2 of the Music and Arts Festival in Indio, California. They performed an untitled song that fans assume will be featured on Confessions 2. They also sang the megastar's hit Vogue and Like a Prayer. Quote, "So, 20 years ago today, I performed at Coachella. I was in the dance tent, and it was the first time I performed Confessions on a Dance Floor Part 1 in America," Madonna said. "It was such a thrill, and it's a thrill to be back. It's a full circle moment, you know? It's very meaningful for me." Madonna previously performed at Coachella in 2015, when she appeared during Drake's headlining set. There is an epic picture of Sabrina Carpenter and Madonna when they're performing together on stage at Coachella. So the stage is pretty dark, it's black, and Sabrina Carpenter is on the left, and she's wearing what would look like a one-piece bathing suit that's white. It's like a sheer lace illusion on the bottom, and the top part is a white kind of silk look. And then behind her, she has like this huge lace white halo that goes all the way to the floor. That's just kind of what's stuck on her back and must have some kind of boning to keep it up straight. She's got like very beautiful, very white blonde hair. She has kind of doll makeup on, and she's standing there pointing to the crowd with her hand. Madonna's next to her, also pointing at the crowd with her hand, and she's got her blonde hair down and it's kind of wavy. She's wearing these glasses that are slightly smoked only at the top, and she's in a lavender bustier that's got lace at the bottom, and then just like some purple underwear and purple lace stockings, purple boots, and a purple leather jacket. They both look incredible. Photo courtesy of Kevin Mazur via Getty. There is also a picture of Akeem Morris and Madonna. It's when they attended the Saint Laurent Women's Wear Spring-Summer Collection show. That was September of last year. It's a full-length picture, and Madonna, wow, she's smoking hot in this like super tight black leather top. She's also wearing a black lace skirt, which you can see through, and she's wearing black panties, okay? She's also got black nylon hose on. She's holding a black chinchilla type fur that she would throw around her neck or something. And her boyfriend, or whatever he is wearing a gorgeous suit. The pants are a burgundy and tan herringbone. His jacket is a camel color. He's got a black tie and then this gorgeous oxblood red leather trench coat. He's also got these cool glasses on, and he's got a black beard and mustache and hair. Photo courtesy of Pascal Le Segratin via Getty. That story was Madonna steps out in waist-cinching corset and bridal-inspired veil with boyfriend Akeem Morris. by Skylar Caruso. The next story is California man spent 27 years building a miniature Disneyland in his backyard, and he's not done yet, by Colson Thayer. What started as a hobby in the late 1990s has turned into a lifelong labor of love for David Shegog, who has dedicated 27 years to building a miniature Disneyland right in his very backyard. About 30 years ago, David and his wife Frances were homeschooling their children at their Anaheim, California property. At the time, David knew he wanted to turn his backyard into something special, the architect tells People, almost like a living laboratory to explore all aspects of science and nature. At the same time, the now 70-year-old stumbled into the world of garden railroading. He thought the hobby, which combines landscaping with model trains, was going to be the perfect way to help develop his kids into smart, problem-solving adults. At first, Frances wasn't sold on the idea, but David offered to construct a model of what the display could look like. For about 2 years, between 1997 and 99, we had a model of our backyard on our dining room table, David says. It was made out of clay, and I used my computer program that I used for architecture to do the track layout. Luckily, the proposal won over his wife, but something was still missing. A theme. You can't just pile up rocks, although some people have done that, you know? But I didn't want mine to be that way, he says. David says at the turn of the century, his family took a trip to Disney World, and that's where his inspiration came from. Not to mention his previous employment and close proximity to the California park. In the home videos of that trip, I'm videotaping the kids as they're pulling their little suitcases through the garage to load up into the car, he remembers. In the background, I can see Snow White's cottage being built. So, somewhere in that period, I decided that the theme would be Disney, and so I started making the landmarks. Just like the real Disneyland resort, Shegog's Castle Peak and Thunder Railroad includes iconic features like Sleeping Beauty's castle and the Haunted Mansion, as well as Disneyland Railroad and Casey Jr. Circus Train. But there are additional structures like Beast's Castle, Prince Eric's Seaside Villa from The Little Mermaid, Carl Fredrickssen's house from Up, and even a fully functioning aerial skyway. But one thing the Shegog display doesn't have, unlike its real-life counterpart, is the Disneyland Resort price tag. Each spring and fall, the Shegogs open up their property for a small series of open houses free for guests to enjoy. However, reservations fill up fast. Last fall, all 2,000 spots were gone in 56 seconds, David says of his Eventbrite reservation system. It's been that way ever since the couple started their open houses around 2014. With each year, David is sure to improve upon his display and add new features. This year, making its debut on May 9th is Pixie Hollow, a water and light show that has 350 LED pixel lights that are all independently programmed, David says. It's the most complicated thing I've ever done, he explains. The architect says he's worked with around 13 consultants, including animators, music arrangers, and contractors, who help design and build the show. But that's not all. David says he has big plans for the future, which includes multiple structural additions to his house. I'd like to run this for at least 10 years, he says. So, if I can build it between ages 60 and 70 and run it from 70 to 80, then I will have gotten a good run of it. David credits the happiness and joy seen throughout his backyard during open houses as his reason for keeping the display running for years to come. It just brings joy to my heart to see the families interacting and having fun. and smiling and giggling. And if you can be part of why that's happening, then that's enough reason to do it again. There is a picture of David and Frances Shegog. They are wearing some Disney-inspired clothes. David is in a t-shirt that has Mickey Mouse on it leaning against a light pole, and there's also the Eiffel Tower. And he's got white hair and brown eyes, and he's smiling really big. And his wife is standing in front of him wearing a blue top that has a blue and white polka dot Peter Pan collar. And then she's wearing a name tag that says Frances, just like the ones that the staff wear at Disneyland. And she's got salt and pepper gray hair and brown eyes and a great smile. And he's got his arm on her shoulder. Photo courtesy of David Shegog. There is also a picture of the Casey Jr. circus train, and it's at the Castle Peak and Thunder Railroad. It is incredible. So these are miniature, but they look to scale. Like these look like they're real, like they're big, but they're not. The detail that has gone into these is just incredible. So the train itself is going over this bridge, which is highly detailed, and the train is very colorful. Each car is uniquely painted. And in the background, there is a painted mural, which I guess is on the backyard wall, where it looks like there's a waterfall and there's grass. And it's just very, very well done. Photo credit goes to David Shegog. And the last picture is of the aerial skyway at Castle Peak and Thunder Railroad. The detail here is just incredible. This guy is a perfectionist. I would hire him for an architect's job any day, okay? So it's a 3-story train station. There is the train track underneath, and then there's the next level where the people would board the train. And then above that is the skyway, and there's the little orange and blue buckets that have people inside them. Wow, just wow, it's so detailed, and it's exactly like how it looks at Disneyland. Photo credit goes to David Shegog. The next story is Different Strokes' Todd Bridges recalls sexual encounters with Dana Plato as a preteen. How would a 12-year-old girl know about that? By Angela Andaloro. Dana Plato's formative years were filled with scrutiny as a young woman. The late actress's complicated life journey is discussed in the latest episode of Hollywood Demons, Child Stars Gone Wild. Born on November 7, 1964, Plato appeared in dozens of television roles and commercials before landing the role of Kimberly Drummond, the daughter of a millionaire, on 8 seasons of Different Strokes. Experts discuss how Plato was sexualized at an early age within the industry, with co-star Todd Bridges recalling an incident with Plato that showed a sexual awareness beyond her years. I was sleeping one time in a room on the set, and somebody zips my pants down and starts giving me a blowjob, and it was Dana, he recalled. How would a 12-year-old girl know about that? The only way that you're going to do that to someone else is if you've experienced that yourself, Bridges reasoned. Bridges, who was a year younger than Plato, maintained a close relationship with her throughout her time on the show. He said that throughout their teens, Dana was wild. My first experience with everything was with Dana. My first threesome was with Dana. My first foursome was with Dana. Our first fivesome was with Dana. My goodness. Providing his expert opinion on the subject, Dr. Drew Pinsky shared, quote, "Threesomes, foursomes, fivesomes, that's typically sex addiction. So you have to wonder, when young adolescents or children engage in sexual acts that maybe they shouldn't have understood can even be in the repertoire of sexual behaviors, you have to wonder if there's been some sexual abuse prior." For Bridges, he admitted it was sad not knowing what was happening to his friend, who battled drug abuse for years following her time on the sitcom, and was arrested in 1991 for robbing a video store at gunpoint. She could never just tell us what was really going on in her head, and I really wish she could have, because we could have really helped her. No matter how much I talked about it, she didn't want to talk about it. She didn't ever want to talk about her feelings. Plato died of a drug overdose, later ruled as suicide, on May 8, 1999. Child Stars Gone Wild premieres Monday, April 27 at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Pacific Standard Time on ID. New episodes of Hollywood Demons premiere weekly and are available to stream on HBO Max. If you suspect child abuse, call the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-422-4453 or go to www.childhelp.org. All calls are toll-free and confidential. The hotline is available 24/7 in more than 170 languages. There is a still picture from the show Different Strokes. Dana Plato is young. She looks maybe 13 or 14 in this picture. She's wearing a pink lace shirt that's ruffled on top at the neck. Her hair is a light brown color and it's pulled back in a French braid. She's laughing as Conrad Bain, who plays Philip Drummond, her father, has his arm around her shoulder, hugging her, and his other arm is around Todd Bridges' shoulder. And he's he's a bit taller than her and maybe a year older, just judging by this picture. And he's smiling, looking at Philip Drummond, the dad. Photo courtesy of Paul Drinkwater via NBC, via NBCU Photo Bank. There is another picture of Dana Plato from the TV show Different Strokes. It's more of a promotional picture of her character, and she's wearing a very preppy pink Oxford shirt that has a little red and blue like ribbon tied at the neck. She's got that brown hair that's kind of cut in a Farrah Fawcett look, where it's curled on the sides and it's long and has a little bit of bangs. And she's just got lip gloss on and freckles and smiling at the camera, looking very, very wholesome. Photo credit goes to Herb Ball via NBCU Photo Bank. That story was Different Strokes' Todd Bridges recalls sexual encounters with Dana Plato as a preteen. How would a 12-year-old girl know about that? By Angela Andalaro. The next story is Trump wants to rename ICE to NICE as deaths in ICE custody reach record high. By staff author. President Donald Trump floated renaming Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, to National Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or NICE, on Monday, April 27. Great idea! Do it! President DJT. Trump wrote via Truth Social on Monday, alongside an image of a March post from right-wing influencer Alyssa Marie making the suggestion. Quote, I want Trump to change ICE to NICE, the National Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So the media has to say NICE agents all day, every day, Marie wrote. The suggestion comes as the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, which oversees ICE, remains unfunded by Congress. Democrats have called for new restrictions on ICE's operations, or the abolition of the agency entirely, as its funding has ballooned under Trump and it leads the charge on the president's mass deportation agenda. Those calls for reform were inflamed by the January killings of 2 U.S. citizens in Minneapolis, when ICE and other federal agencies flooded the city for an operation that the president described as both targeting immigrants and serving as a punishment for the city and state's Democratic leadership. Earlier this month, ICE reported its 29th death of a detainee in its custody since October, the start of the fiscal year for the federal government, per NPR. That's the highest total since the agency's inception in 2003, surpassing the previous high of 28 deaths in the entirety of fiscal year 2004. ICE and DHS did not immediately respond to a request for comment from People on the deaths nor the president's proposal to rename the agency. DHS told the outlet in an article published on April 17 that the deaths were attributable to the size of the immigrant population ICE is currently incarcerating, which has grown to 60,000 in a mix of existing facilities, areas of jails run by state and local governments, and hastily constructed new detention centers. The department told the outlet that, quote, death rates in custody under the Trump administration are 0.009% of the detained population, and argued that for many immigrants detained and awaiting deportation, the administration is providing, quote, the best health care they have received their entire lives. Let that sink in. The most recent death, according to ICE, occurred on April 16 in Miami. The agency said 27-year-old Aled Damien Carbonell Betancourt was found dead in his cell by a federal officer in what ICE described as an apparent suicide attempt by the Cuban man. Other recent detainee deaths include a 19-year-old Mexican man who ICE also said died in an apparent suicide, and a 41-year-old father of 6 from Afghanistan who fought alongside U.S. troops. The latter man died less than 24 hours after being detained. In January, a Texas medical examiner determined the death of a 55-year-old Cuban detainee was a homicide at Camp East, Montana, a hastily constructed tent facility on a military base in El Paso that houses thousands of immigrants and has seen at least 3 die in recent months, according to the Texas Tribune. DHS denied the man's death was a homicide at the time and claimed that he was attempting to kill himself when officers intervened before he died. The 29 deaths total, based on ICE's legally mandated reports, do not include the killings of Alex Preddy and Renee Good by federal agents in Minneapolis. Nor does it include deaths like the Myanmar refugee Nurul Amin Shah Alam, a blind father of 2 who was found dead in Buffalo, New York, after Border Patrol agents allegedly left him alone miles away from home. Preddy, a 37-year-old ICU nurse, was shot and killed on January 24 by federal officers in what the local medical examiner determined was a homicide. Good, a 37-year-old mother of 3, was shot and killed by ICE officer Jonathan Ross on January 7th. Her death was also ruled a homicide. Criminal charges have not been filed in either shooting. DHS officials and Trump himself have defended the actions of the federal officers in Minneapolis and laid the blame for the violence at the feet of the protesters and Democratic politicians. Quote, a rebrand won't distract us from the truth. This reprehensible agency murdered 2 Minnesotans in broad daylight, wrote Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar, a Democrat who frequently is in the president's crosshairs, in response to Trump's proposal on Monday, quote, abolish ICE. There is a picture of President Donald Trump as he tours a migrant detention center dubbed Alligator Alcatraz in Florida. This was taken July 1, 2025. And he's standing in front of a chain link fence, which is indoors inside of some kind of large warehouse with a metal roof. And there are these really thin little mattresses on these bunk beds, and it's just miles of these bunk beds. He's standing there wearing a blue suit, an American flag pin on his lapel, and a red Make America Great Again ball cap. Photo credit goes to Andrew Caballero Reynolds via AFP via Getty. There is also a picture of ICE agents detaining a man in St. Paul, Minnesota on January 27th. So the man is in a red windbreaker and black pants. They've got his arms pegged behind his back. The ICE agents are all dressed differently. They're kind of mismatched. One has a vest on that says police and ICE on it. I guess it holds like ammunition and your guns and your taser, whatever you got. And he's got a black baseball cap on backwards. He's got like a big thing of fabric wrapped all around his head except for his eyes. And he's got khaki pants on. And the other guy is wearing a different color vest that has a giant American flag on it. It says police. He's got a black ball cap on and a camouflage face covering, so you can only barely see his eyes from underneath the ball cap. And there's a bunch of other guys dressed kind of like this, all to capture this one guy. Photo credit goes to Octavio Jones via AFP via Getty. That story was Trump wants to rename ICE to NICE as deaths in ICE custody reach record high, by staff author. Okay, let's end this on a positive note. This last story is Queen Camilla will gift missing Winnie the Pooh stuffed doll to the New York Public Library, by Carly Tegan Dye. A beloved book character is crossing the pond. Queen Camilla will gift the New York Public Library a previously missing Winnie the Pooh stuffed toy during her visit to the United States with King Charles this week, according to reports by the BBC and The Independent. The New York Public Library is home to several stuffed toys originally owned by English author A. Milne's son, Christopher Robin, in the 1920s. The animals inspired Milne's beloved Winnie the Pooh children's books, including 1926's Winnie the Pooh and 1928's The House at Pooh Corner. The dolls, including Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, Eeyore, Tigger, and Kanga, were first brought to the U.S. in 1947, where they were displayed at Milne's American publisher E.P. Dutton. The toys were gifted to the New York Public Library for permanent display in 1987. One doll, however, was missing from the collection, a baby kangaroo toy known as Roo. The Queen will gift the New York Public Library a specially made replica of Roo, reportedly created by Merrythought, the same toy manufacturer that produced Christopher Robin's original dolls. That's all the time we have for this story, which was Queen Camilla will gift missing Winnie the Pooh stuffed doll to the New York Public Library, by Carly Tegan Dye. That concludes today's readings from People magazine. This has been Melanie Guralnick for Vocal Point, home of the Georgia Radio Reading Service. Thank you for listening to Vocal Point.